We need to face a really uncomfortable truth about the AI boom. You are wasting an ungodly amount of time babysitting a collection of brilliant algorithms that have the memory of a goldfish. Think about your daily workflow with ChatGPT or Claude. You open up a browser, you start a new chat window, and the AI sitting on the other side of that screen has effectively suffered a complete functional lobotomy. It has absolutely no idea who you are. It doesn't remember your development stack. It doesn't remember your writing style. And it completely forgets the genius debugging workaround it found for you just yesterday. Every single morning, you have to sit down and put your AI through an endless, exhausting onboarding routine. You're trapped in a loop of digital amnesia, throwing away hours reminding a machine how to do its job. But right now, hidden deep inside the open source community, developers have quietly solved this problem. They didn't do it by building a bigger, more expensive model. They did it by abandoning the chatbot entirely. New research recently dropped an open-source project called Hermes Agent. It instantly exploded across GitHub. And its existence poses a massive, fascinating question. What happens when an AI stops being a temporary web session and becomes a permanent process that never sleeps? We aren't talking about a custom GPT or a system prompt. Hermes completely rejects the chatbot interface. It is designed to run 24/7 on a cheap cloud server, communicate with you natively through Slack or Telegram, and build its own private library of reusable skills. The longer you let it run, the smarter it gets. It is the first real look at a digital employee that actually accumulates experience instead of resetting to zero. To understand why this is causing such a massive stir, you have to look at the hidden architecture under the hood. Standard AI tools are what engineers call stateless. Hermes fixes this with a layered memory system that acts less like a database and more like a human brain's long-term storage. It manages simple, highly organized local files that dictate its worldview. The moment you tell Hermes a personal preference, like a specific coding framework you prefer or a business constraint you have to follow, that information isn't just floating in the temporary chat history. It gets written directly into its foundational memory profile. Weeks later, in a completely different session, it automatically builds its strategies around the data without you ever having to type it out a second time. But remembering facts is just the baseline. The real magic, and the part that is kind of terrifying when you see it work, is how Hermes handles skills. Most AI agents are static. They can only use the tools a human developer explicitly coded into them. Hermes, however, actually invents its own tools through a process called self-directed skill synthesis. Imagine you give Hermes a highly complex, multi-step task. Scrape a niche industry news site, pull out the top funding rounds, format that data into a specific report style, and ping your team's Discord server. Hermes doesn't just run the play, it watches its own execution trace. It analyzes exactly what worked and what failed. If the task is a success, it strips out the specific data from that day, isolates the structural workflow, and writes a brand new, reusable skill file for itself. The next time you ask it to run a similar research task, it doesn't guess or reinvent the wheel. It opens its custom skill library, loads the program it wrote for itself, and executes it perfectly. Of course, this level of automation unlocks a massive structural problem that the AI hype train completely glosses over: the context tax. Because Hermes is constantly loading your user profile, your project data, your custom skill libraries, and its past history, it performs an enormous amount of background processing before it even types a single character of your answer. It burns through tokens at a staggering rate. If you plug a fully autonomous agent like this into a premium model like Claude 3.5 Sonnet and leave it running in the background, you can easily wake up to a massive API bill. This economic reality is driving a fascinating new strategy among advanced developers. On routing platforms like OpenRouter, we are seeing a shift where users run the agent's baseline loop on ultra-low-cost, high-throughput models. The cheap model handles the routine background monitoring and file management. Then, only when the agent hits a complex logical wall or needs deep creative reasoning, it spawns a specialized subagent powered by a premium model to handle that specific micro-task before closing it out. This is exactly why tools like Hermes are completely different from something like Anthropic's Claude Code. Claude Code is a fantastic tool, but it is built to be a temporary local workstation. It lives in your terminal, hooks into your local code repositories, and is arguably the best thing on earth for intense, real-time debugging. But it is fundamentally stateless. It doesn't live in the cloud, it doesn't monitor your business while you sleep, and it isn't evolving reusable workflows on its own. Hermes is a decentralized worker. You deploy it on a $5 cloud instance, completely independent of your laptop. Because it connects to communication channels like Telegram, your relationship with AI completely shifts. You stop sitting at a desk trying to engineer the perfect prompt. Instead, you could be out grabbing lunch, text a quick assignment to your private Telegram agent, and just lock your phone. The agent runs continuously in the cloud, pulls in its past memories, coordinates the tools, completes the job, and messages you the finished report hours later. The smartest play, right now, isn't to choose between these tools, it's to combine them into an asymmetric, multi-agent stack. You use Hermes as your high-level macro-orchestrator, the digital employee that holds your persistent state, tracks your long-term goals, and manages your automated skill library. Then, whenever Hermes encounters a deep, deterministic software engineering bottleneck, it delegates that specific task down to a specialized local execution engine, like Claude code. You let the orchestrator handle the life of the project, and you let the specialist handle the raw code. We are moving incredibly fast out of the era of the chatbot, and into the era of the persistent, autonomous digital workforce. The value of AI over the next few years isn't going to belong to the people using the biggest raw models. It's going to belong to the people who build the best systems of memory retention, autonomous tool usage, and continuous self-improvement. The real question left is pretty simple. Are you going to keep spending your mornings onboarding a stateless chatbox, or are you going to start building a digital worker that actually grows with you?